Fee, 5-4, nothing to a giant. Waited my turn, call it perfect time and trust the most high. Got the stars aligning, I was tapped in. I've been strategizing, dreams coming true. I've been fantasizing while you criticize. Pay attention to the signs, symbolize. Feel like a legend, they go idolized. Ayy, I'm a hero, wear my cape. Independent leader made a way. I'm the people's voice, your people rate. Stuck to my pace, the turtle win the race. The trophies on trophies, views from the townscape. Change is great praise, then I had to skate. God told me time to go elevate. Chosen child, I'm the champ now, not a featherweight.
At MP Coney Island, it's all about the chili and has been for nearly 100 years since we opened in 1923. We helped put Newcastle on the map as the hot dog capital of the world. Visit our store, place an order for pickup at mpconeyisland.com, delivery with DoorDash, or find the grocery store near you with our chili locator on our website. Want to own your own MP Coney Island? Now you can with our franchise system. At MP Coney Island, it's all about the chili.
Okay, we're on. Welcome everybody. This is episode 55 of the Glorious Tradition. And we have a skeleton crew tonight. Guys are going to the 7th and 8th grade Hurricanes football game. So we got Preston, Randy Rayburn, and pulled John YERAGE in. We're going to talk about officiating later on. And it was a heck of a week in sports, so we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. I start the show off every night, every week. We've been doing something different of what happened in sports September 18th. I think you'd be interested in this too, John. Willie Mays, in 1955, Willie Mays hits record tying ninth home run at Ebbets Field. That's amazing, huh?
Yeah, it is.
In 1956, Mickey Mantle is eighth to hit 50 home runs in the season, and that was only 154 games.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Birth dates on this date, September the 18th. Everybody remembers Billy Sims, American College Football Hall of Famer, halfback. He was Heisman Trophy in 1979, Oklahoma, Pro Bowl, 1980, 82, and he played with the Lions, and he was born in St. Louis. That's Rick, that's kind of like, Rick Pitino. He was
Basketball
born,
coach.
yeah, basketball coach, long time, born in New York City. Interesting. A lot of stuff that,
Go back to Mickey Mantle for a second. Not only did they play 154 games at that time, but the pitcher's mound was, 3 inches higher?
Yes.
I believe, which is a distinct advantage to a pitcher. So that makes that
yeah.
50 home runs
Sure.
even a little more
Right.
special.
There's another thing, I didn't mention these two things. 1909, Major League Baseball, was the largest paid attendance, 35,409. The A's beat the Tigers 2-0 in Detroit. In 1946, Joe Louis, everybody has heard one time of Joe Louis, KO's Tami, T-A-M-I, Marialio in the first round to win the heavyweight boxing title. We have Terry Black on here. Johnny, I don't know if you watched it.
No.
A lot of interesting stuff. I'd like to get him back because it will pull in, and a lot of the guys weren't here, so it was interesting just to talk to him about the old-time boxers.
Oh, sure.
He said
yeah.
he likes to see that come back one day. He likes to see how the boxing was back in the day.
15 rounds back in the day.
15
Yeah,
rounds.
15
Not 12,
rounds.
15. Imagine getting hit like that
Oh,
for
my God.
15 rounds. Oh. I couldn't take 15
It's
seconds.
12 now, right?
Well, yeah,
12.
12 rounds
Can
now.
you imagine that, though? That's one of the
Keep your
toughest.
hands up for
It has
that
to.
long.
Right.
Brutality.
Yeah.
And
Bouncing on your
we
legs
said
for
those
that
guys
long.
used to fight once a month.
Oh, yeah.
These guys fight once every 6-8 months.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the
Oh,
cash.
it's all the money. It's all
Cash.
Oh, sure, it's all money, of course.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that this show is sponsored by VentiSei Winery. Thank you, Denny Flora, for
Thanks,
sponsoring us. We'll get to Randy in a second. Every week, we're trying not to get away from what the show's all about. We changed the format a little bit. We still talking a Glorious Edition. We're going to honor this week the WPIL 1932 Red Hurricanes champions. The Newcastle School football team, Newcastle High School football team, a newly dubbed the Red Hurricanes, made a name for themselves in winning 12 straight victories. As a result, they won the coveted WPIAL trophy, but had to share the honors with Jeanette and McKeesport. As you no doubt have noticed in the above record, the Red Hurricanes defeated McKeesport, and you immediately wonder why the three-way tie for the championship. That game was a postseason game and had no bearing whatsoever on the league race. If you have noted closely in paging through the book, this is the first time since 1924 that Newcastle has had a WPIAL championship team. So evidently the Gardner point system didn't come in at that time.
Right.
Correct?
No, I don't think the Gardner point system came in until later in the 30s, or maybe even the early 40s.
Right,
But, back
Yeah.
then in the 1930s, there were no playoffs.
right. No,
So
Right.
teams were awarded based on what the WPIAL executives
So they,
Decided.
so they decided that year that Newcastle, Jeanette, and McKeesport were the
We're
champions.
the
We're
champions.
champions.
You know, I never noticed that. And I looked through this book 20 times. And now that I read it out loud, and we discussed it for a couple seconds. That's how they did it, right? They determined it.
Yeah.
What did the WPIL decide?
Whatever their executives decided.
There's some interesting names here. Lane, Komonomic, Nickum, Thomas, A. Shalot. How do you say that? He played in the pros. They were brothers. F. Shalog and A. Shalog. Duff. Mike DeCarbo. We all remember
Oh,
Mike
right, yeah.
DeCarbo.
Right.
He played on that team. He was the captain. Razgowski, Shalog, James, a Yorn, a Rambo. Yeah, Holly. This would be, remember George Holly?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That was his dad, Mr. Holly, Joe Holly. Yeah, he was on that team in 32. They played teams like, they played Union Township, being 27-0, McKees Rocks, 50-6, Charleroi, Coriopolis, Washington, Elwood, Altoona, New Kensington, Youngstown South, Turtle Creek, and McKeesport. Beat McKeesport 20-0. And they were 12-0. And they decided there was two more champions.
Right.
Weird. That was strange.
It is.
That was a strange. Okay, Rand, so you're up.
Well, I didn't want to do this guy because the last couple weeks, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, he busted me on the internet, so I'm gonna, thought about not doing him, but I said, let me give him a shot, Rick Flora. Okay, because I owe you, and, so, or you owe me, I should say. Anyway, Ricky was put in 2015 into the Lawrence County Historical Society Sports Hall of Fame. Ricky has seen football from every angle. It's not a surprise for someone who loves the game. He just did it, Flora was a 3-year letter winner for Newcastle football team that was Section 3 champions and WPIL co-champs in 1975, that was his junior year. While he combined to score 7 touchdowns on offense and special teams. His senior season was cut short because of a knee injury suffered in a loss to Beaver Falls. Flora had a receiving touchdown and 102 rushing yards in that game before the injury occurred. And then he also worked as a referee for the PIAA football referee for
Long time.
27 years. In 3 years, in 1990, he was the Shenango Junior High football coach.
And an Eastside Rams coach.
And an Eastside Rams coach.
For many years.
That's right. Where was it? Oh, he said, I was sitting in the classroom with Coach Ron Plano, and I was told there was a track meet that day, and the only way we could beat Butler if you win the 100 and 200 meter races. Flora said, so he took me out of class. I ran. I won both races. That was a big rivalry back then. We ended up beating them up. But back for when Ricky was playing in 74, he had 11 attempts, 110 yards rushing, and he averaged 10 yards a
He was
carry.
Lindy's right halfback.
Yes.
fullback.
And
We
he
always
got-
knew when he ran 249. Leaned to the left.
And he had 2 catches for 24 yards and no touchdowns that year. And then in 75, like it said, he had 7 touchdowns. He had 50 points. He had rushing 38 attempts, 416 yards, 5 TDs, 10.9 yards he averaged
On
running.
249.
Yes. And he had 1 pass interception. He had 9 catches for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. 249 was the only time the flanker carried the football.
247.
247, okay.
Yeah, 247.
247 and 2, yeah.
He ran it inside on Lindy's offense, his unbalanced to the right.
Yep.
Do you know there's a lot of, the other night I watched some unbalanced. You'll see a lot of it on the pros. You'll see unbalanced.
I saw one in high school about 4 years ago. that came out in an unbalanced line, and I'm like, wow, I haven't
Yep.
seen this in 15 years.
The pros put everybody in.
And they passed out of it. I'm like, I'm waiting for power football, you know, I'm
Right.
waiting for pulling guards, but they passed out of it. I'm like, okay, I guess
Yeah,
I need to change with the times here.
But anyway, yeah, we always used to categorize how, he was definitely the fastest guy in the family. He was so fast, and he just,
Yeah.
he ran a 100-yard dash on a cinder track 9.9 back in his day, on a cinder track.
Center track, imagine now.
Yeah, he would fly, he can fly back in his day, and he played baseball too. He double dutied, if I'm not mistaken. Rick, correct me, you did. I know you played baseball and you ran track at the same time. So, yeah, to do that today and play two sports at one time, it's kind of
It's
hard.
hard.
And you know, even when we officiated together, I think we were on the same crew for about 15 years
Yeah,
together. He still had the legs. He could still
yep,
keep up with 17-year-old kids when he was in his mid to late 40s.
he had some trouble with his,
And that's saying a lot.
yeah, he had trouble with his 1 foot for a
Yeah.
long time, so,
Right.
and he did it long enough. It was time for the new generation, and that's what we're gonna get into again, and we had you back earlier last year, or later last year, you and Frank, and we talked about it, and we thought maybe we'd recruit a little bit more, but
We got a few new ones, but
few,
not that many.
And you can't throw them into the fire right away. You gotta give them a little experience.
Nowadays, we're forced to.
You're forced to.
Our
right.
numbers are that bad. They're
Yeah.
that low.
Yeah.
We've
Oh, it's
had-
bad.
We have guys taking a test on a Tuesday, and 2 Fridays later, they're on a varsity football
Yeah.
field.
Wow,
And, wow, yeah.
wow.
All right, Randy, we're gonna go right to what happened last Friday night around the area.
Oh yeah, last Friday, Elwood City beat Mohawk 41-34.
I had the over.
And you're a winner.
Mohawk scores, man.
Yeah.
So does Elwood.
Right, they're 2A. Gavin Partridge had 2 fourth-quarter interceptions to help Elwood beat Mohawk. Elwood is 1-0, 3-0 overall. Mohawk is 0-1 conference and 1-2 overall. Mohawk is going to host Beaver Falls this Friday, and Freedom will host Elwood on Friday. Shenango beat Northgate in 1A, 25-20. So Shenango's 1-0 and 1-1 overall. Shenango had 357 offensive yards to Northgate's 258 offensive yards. Shenango will host Southside Beaver this Friday at Shenango. Newcastle beat York 27-7. They will host Knock this Friday. Laurel lost to Bishop Cannon 48-23. Laurel's 0-4. They haven't done that since 1994. They're 0-4. Laurel allowed 486 yards of total offense to
Wow.
Bishop Cannon. Bishop Cannon, Jack Miles caught 7 passes for 120 yards, and Colton Carlson scored 2 TDs for Laurel. And Laurel goes to Rochester Friday in the Big 7 Conference. Union lost to Riverside. It was 21-6. And they will host Western Beaver this Friday. And the Neshannock beat Rochester 21-0. Defensive paved the way for the win Friday night for Neshannock's football team. Ashton Allison scored 3 touchdowns, 3 carries for 30
Kid's
yards, and 2 catches for 73.
My kids are good
And
all around.
Neshannock's 3-1 and 1-0
Yeah.
in conference. So congratulations to them. Wilmington, it was a close game. Wilmington beat Kennedy Catholic 58-0 last Saturday. And Wilmington this week, or does not play this week. They go to Farrell next week.
Farrell got a win too. They won this. They beat Mercer.
Right.
Did they?
Yeah.
And I don't know if any, you guys saw this, but the PIAA okayed for girls flag football.
Yes,
They passed the,
I did see that.
Oh,
they
wow.
passed it.
In the fall,
That'll be a competitive sport.
Yes,
in,
yeah.
in the fall?
I'm not
I'm
sure
not
if
sure
it's a
when they're
fall
gonna
or
do it.
spring.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
I'm thinking it may be a spring sport.
Wow, that was a long time coming now.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody's doing it now.
Right.
The Olympics are gonna be, they're
They're
gonna be
gonna be
flag
doing
football
it.
too.
But yeah, I saw that today, they okayed that, they
Wow, that's
voted
good.
for it, which is good for, that's good, I mean, get more growth. And from what I understand, it has been up and coming, and there's a lot of girls, I guess, that play flag
Sure.
football that,
And it said the Steelers and the Eagles are gonna be involved.
yes,
there's-
the Steelers and Eagles are gonna be involved.
You know,
It's the entire NFL.
Randy will vouch for this too. I did it when I was the AD. We did it about, 8, 9 years? Then I just ended it. But
That's
competitive.
Like a club.
We did, like, we just played, we had 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. 9th and 10th graders played together, and 11th, 12th
Right.
graders played together.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, very, very competitive. We played like a little round robin. And the girls are just as competitive
Yes,
as
they were.
Oh,
as
sure.
the guys are, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, we had some really good games, really good games. It came, I think, one year, the 9th and 10th grade beat the 11th and 12th.
Beat the 11th, yeah, 11th and
One
12th
year.
grade, yep.
Yeah, it was interesting. We made the football team, the kids on the football team, be the coaches, you know. And I said, guys, make it simple.
That's all.
And
Right.
guess what? The girls wanted more of it. They
wanted-
wanted to learn the plays. They did good, you know,
Yeah.
Great.
good.
Anytime you can spur
Sure,
sport participation in high school,
yeah.
male, female,
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter. It's always a good thing. It's
Yeah.
always a
Well,
good
they okayed the girls wrestling for last year, and this
Right.
year it's
Yeah.
girls flag football, which is, that's tremendous.
Yeah, Lydia, you'll get a lot of, Newcastle should
Oh, you'll get a
definitely
lot
have
of-
a team.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yep. NCAA Pitt beat West Virginia in the backyard brawl.
That was a good game.
It was a very
I
good
watched
game.
that game. I actually watched the whole game Saturday.
38-34. Now, Pitt hosts YSU this weekend at 3:30, so Michael Wells will be there. Pitt's
Nice.
3-0 and 0-0 in conference. They haven't played a conference
Nice,
game.
nice payday for
Who
YSU.
beat
Oh,
them
yeah.
Thursday? Somebody,
I think it was Duquesne.
Duquesne beat them.
Duquesne
yeah.
beat them.
Duquesne beat
They
them.
played them last week. But yeah, so Mike Wells will be in Acashore playing the Panthers.
Where's that game at?
Acashore.
Oh, is it Pitt?
It's at Pitt.
You said Saturday?
Saturday at 3:30.
3:30.
It's at
Too
3:30.
bad the Bengals aren't in town Sunday. Gino would have been able
Yeah.
to watch Wells play on
Oh,
Sunday.
yeah, right.
Well, the Bengals play Monday night.
Yeah,
They
Yes.
play Monday night.
but they're not in Pittsburgh.
No.
They're home to Newton on New
Yeah.
England. I don't know.
All right, Preston, what are you gonna do?
I
Randy, you got anything else?
two
Go ahead.
more.
I'm sorry.
Chip's team, Notre Dame, the Irish, they won. They beat Purdue. It was a close game, 66-7. Notre Dame's 2-1 overall. Chip, I'm glad you rooted them on, Chip. And so Notre Dame will host Miami of Ohio this weekend, at 3:30. And Penn
Oh,
State,
Jesus, Charlie.
Penn State got by Bowling Green. Bowling Green game, 34-27. Penn State's 2-0 and overall.
Touch back on those high school games for a minute. If there's any Mohawk fans out there listening, don't let that 1 and 2 discourage you because
Oh, they're good.
I've seen Mohawk.
They're good.
They
Mohawk.
are.
Oh, yeah,
very-
they are.
I see
they're
them
a
playing
very
in
good
Shannon.
football
They're
team.
good. They got a really good quarterback. They got a good
And,
team.
losing to Elwood is not an embarrassment because Elwood is fantastic.
Do you know Elwood has they said this last week, Elwood has 18 seniors on this
Yeah.
team. They're senior oriented.
And they have come a
Mohawk's
long
not.
way in the last couple of years
I watched
under
them play.
Danny Bradley. And this Elijah Palmer McCain, the running back there, man, what an athlete.
Yeah.
This kid is really good.
At Elwood.
At Elwood. He'll play at the next level. I don't know if he's
I've been bragging
Division
about
I.
him for 2 weeks now, that kid.
Yeah.
The kid's good.
I don't know if he's Division I. Maybe a 1 FCS,
Yeah.
like YSU, Duquesne, that area. But I think a very, very solid Division II running back.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you what, I was impressed. I was just impressed with the way they're coached.
Very, very
The way-
disciplined team.
And just like you said a couple minutes ago, don't hang your heads down because
Oh, no way.
you played a good football team.
Very good
You didn't
team.
play, and you scored 30-some points and lost the game.
Right.
You know, they scored 30-some on, 37 on NESHANNOCK, if I got that, 34, 37. You're supposed to get on the bus with a victory. You're not supposed to lose.
That's right, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Newcastle game. General McLean got on the bus and scored 40-some points, and they lost.
And they had the ride home
47. They
2
scored
hours
47
home.
points
Yeah.
and lost the
47
game.
points and lost the game.
21 points in high school, you're a winner.
Yeah.
You know?
Usually, yeah.
As I say, yeah, it's for no means hang your head down,
No.
Milwaukee.
No way.
And Union's playing some good, they're playing tough teams.
Yes.
They had to go to
I was
Washington
impressed, I was
Friday
impressed
night.
with Union against NESHANNOCK, because I seen that game
Yes.
too. I think Union at the end just ran out of gas. You know,
Another very well-coached team.
Very well
You know,
coached.
Oh,
they're-
yes,
they're a
absolutely.
disciplined team, they've got some nice athletes,
He uses his best athletes, and they carry the ball.
but now he's playing 2A, and man, that's,
That's tough.
people don't think that's a large jump from 1 to 2. But you gotta realize Union's one of the smallest schools in 1A. And now they're going up to AA and going down to a Washington,
Yeah.
who's always good, and one of the larger 2A schools.
Wouldn't, John, also, wouldn't 4A going to 5A? That's tough.
Oh, it's a big jump.
5 and 6, I think you can adjust right away. If you're a good 5A team, you're gonna
Right.
adjust in 6. 5A is tough
4 to 5.
basketball, and it's tough football,
It is a monumental step up, 4 to 5.
because there's a lot of teams.
Right.
Right.
It's right, you're right on that verge of being 6A, you know.
Yep.
But you're right, John, going from 1 to 2 is tough, and then
It's a tough jump.
big jump.
Yeah.
What did Central Valley do this weekend?
They won against,
They beat Moon,
not
No.
Moon,
Mars?
might have been Mars, yeah.
Mars, they beat Mars.
And I think it was convincing. I think it was 41-14.
And Central
if I'm
Valley
not
played 3
mistaken.
good teams to start the season.
Yeah,
They scrimmaged Moon.
right.
Then they played Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
They played Bell Vernon. And they played
Mars.
Aliquippa.
Or
Aliquippa.
Yeah.
Aliquippa.
And then Mars.
Right.
Yeah.
So they'll be reckoned with down the
Oh,
road.
no question.
Down the road.
They
you know.
played Beaver Friday night. That's going to be a very good match.
At
Beaver.
Yeah, it will be. You're
Yeah.
right.
Beaver's pretty good.
Beaver's good too. Yeah, that
I think you
AAA
told me you
section
had
is
a
pretty
game,
good.
you had one of their games. Like, you had one of them games last year, Beaver?
Yeah, I had a
You
Beaver.
had a
last year.
Beaver game last year. You said they were good last year.
Oh, yeah. And they're
So
all back from last year.
They're all back.
Oh, my.
Veteran team.
Again, they're another team like Elwood. Very high number of seniors this year. Experienced seniors.
18 seniors.
Yeah,
18.
yeah, that's a lot.
My personal opinion, and the only reason why I'm going to say this is because I've been watching our grandson plays out in NESHANNOCK, so I've been watching their games. My personal opinion is, and I think NESHANNOCK's going to be, they're going to contend for a playoff
Oh,
spot.
no doubt.
But I think they're 1 year away. Because they graduate 8 seniors, 1's a kicker, and 7 other guys. And next year, they're going to have all their players back. They're going to be good. They're really going to be good next year.
And you know,
Is that-
you've got some good
Shannon.
blood, you've got some good bloodline out
You
there.
got good
Yeah.
bloodline. This Allison, he's good. This Cubalis, he's good. This Cubalis, Johnny
Parada.
Mazzoc, Johnny, he's good. And this Santi,
Gino Mazzacco.
Gino
Tony
Mazzacco.
Parada,
And Gino Mazzacco's a 3-year starter now.
Don Cabellas, there's some
Cubalis
good
is
players.
really, those
Very good
kids,
players.
kids are good. That's a good nucleus. Now, Parada's a senior, of course, but he's tough. You hear his name, you're just saying his name.
And then you throw a Flora into the mix.
He's learning. He's learning.
Well, he's young.
Yeah, he's
young.
only
He's a ninth
14.
grader.
He's playing. He's getting in when he's supposed to get in, and, you know, it's good. You gotta learn. And we talked about that. When you were a sophomore at Newcastle and you played, come on.
That was huge.
It was huge. And all the years that Randy and I have been involved with Newcastle, there wasn't very many sophomores that played. I know Jesse Moss was a starter back in the day. Chucky Sapp was a starter back in the day, before we came onto the picture. I mean, I don't want to miss anybody's names, but there wasn't
even-
very many.
Even back in my era with Perry and with Chucky Kumro, and those guys didn't start as
Yeah,
sophomores.
yeah, right. Now, Denny, my brother Denny and
Yeah.
Davey Hassan played a lot when they were sophomores, my senior year, because we had a lot of injuries. So when Jesse went out, you know, we had a lot of guys
Sure.
And Davey and Denny, they took my place at left halfback. And they were actually fullbacks. So you people out there, Lindy's offense was, the quarterback was a number one, left halfback was the main ball carrier, three back was a fullback, and like Ricky was the four-back.
Flanker.
But to play as a sophomore was a great accomplishment.
Not bad.
And play a little bit as a freshman. And Shannock are playing they're an eighth grade team last year. They didn't win the championship. Laurel won it all.
Laurel beat
That's why I think Laurel's going to be the team of the future too. Laurel had
They will be, yeah.
really good, and their seventh and eighth grade team this year is pretty good. Last year they were phenomenal.
And now NESHANNOCK's seventh and eighth grade team is very good.
They're good.
They're very
So
good.
it's always going to be a crosstown rival.
Yes.
And then when you play those crosstown rivals, nothing is taken for granted.
No, of course
You got to play. Every year when Newcastle, back in the older days, when you had Elwood and Newcastle, that was your rival. So it didn't matter,
And Butler.
And Butler, and
Butler, you could have played tiddlywinks or ping pong, and there would have
Exactly.
been a rivalry.
right. For instance, Eddie and my senior year, when we were seniors, we played Elwood City at the stadium. Elwood's record had Wayne Thornhill. They had a Costa kid, would be Ducky Costa's son, was a quarterback, and they had a cast of characters. They were good, and they had to beat us to win the division. Well, what happened was they would have tied with Farrell for the conference champions.
Okay.
We played them here. Our record was mez. We were five. We ended up 6-3-1. So we were going into the thing 5-3-1 or 6-3-1. Yeah, whatever. Our season ended 6-3-1. They came into Taggart Stadium. And we blew their socks off. That 70 team that would come to be, everything started clicking. Like you had the Monk and you had Donald Lewis and
Right.
not Gucci, but Donald and Reynolds Stoner and all those guys. They played a lot that year. Sammy Campoli, those guys, Bucky Tumanel, those guys all played a lot our senior year. So that was the gauge, that game, to know that 70 team was
going to be that good, yeah.
They were that good.
18-0. You beat them 18-0.
Well, that was,
It's 69.
no,
Oh,
69. We
I'm
beat them
sorry.
35-20, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what the score was? We scored Chucky Fury
33-20.
33-20. We put on everybody got healthy, so we,
So you were 5-3-1 going into that game.
5-3-1, we ended up 6-3-1.
6-3-1.
Elwood loses, Farrell
Farrell
wins the
won-
conference.
Farrell won the
Farrell wins the
conference. Yeah.
conference.
Right.
I see Nick Canone, you know Nick Canone.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see Nicky and he goes, "We beat you that year, huh?" So you didn't have a good record with us your time. I said, well, when we were sophomores, we beat your ass. Farrell beat us 2 out of the 3 years I played at Newcastle.
16-12 they beat you. 16-12.
We had a shot at the end. We had to knock the ball down, and they scored. Nicky threw a touchdown pass. That's how they beat us.
And how good is that? That 50 years later, you can run into Nick
Oh,
Canone
yeah.
and talk about that stuff that you shared. You shared that field together.
Yeah.
You shared that battle
Sure.
together,
I like to get him on, too. Every time I see him, he starts talking about something else, and I never get a chance to talk to him.
Well, it's
I got to get his phone number from
pretty
somebody.
hard to get Nick to be
Yeah,
quiet.
yeah. He's still
Oh, yeah?
coaching basketball. That was his forte. He coached basketball for
Right.
many years. Now he's an assistant. I think he's at Sharon. If I'm not mistaken, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's at Sharon. So many names that come out of there. I had a guy come up to me, a kid come up to me, 2 years ago. I don't know where I was at. I don't know if I was in Walmart or something. My favorite place, Randy. But anyway, I was in Hermitage. That's where it was at. He came up to me, gave me a big hug, and he said, "Hey, man, you remember the games we used to play against you guys?" I said, "It was always a battle, Farrell." He goes, "I'm the one who returned that punt. You punted it straight to me." And we were junior. I said that was our junior year. He beat us at the stadium, like 13-7. But anyway, just the camaraderie
Oh,
today
sure.
is just like, you'd meet them guys.
Who caught Zarenzik's punt?
Oh, you know what, Johnny? I wanted to tell you. I had a text message with Jack. two Sundays ago. He's gonna come on one day.
Oh,
I'll have him
good.
come down.
Yeah.
He's gonna come down. He said, I can't do it now.
Always
He
a
said,
fun time.
He said, but down the road, he said, I'll be glad to come and be on the show with you guys. So I didn't know if Ronnie knew that. This is the first time you're gonna know that, but Jack's gonna come down, you know. But yeah, Jack's punt backwards. Johnny, tell him that story. Tell the
Well-
story to everybody about that.
We were,
You were at a Pirate game.
no, this was the trade deadline in 2014, I believe it was. And Jack was still GM at Seattle.
Right.
They were playing in Cleveland. And that was the day he made the Austin Jackson trade, and he ended up fleecing Tampa Bay in this deal. It was a three-way deal, and Jack come out on top of this deal. So we get to the game real early. As soon as they open the gates, we get in, and I text Jack. I said, "Hey, we're here." So he comes down, and we're just sitting in the stands in right field, just watching the warm-ups and the batting practice and everything. And I took my paper out and I handed him the note that Sam had given me to give to him.
Tell him what it said.
And a nice Newcastle polo, which he loved.
Right.
And the note said, I can't remember,
I
something about
said,
the world record for
oh,
backward punting or
by
something.
the way, you still have the record for the punt going backwards.
For the longest backward punt
Yeah.
in high school football history.
Signed, I think, Sam Flora. When he told me he was gonna be with Jackie, I said, I gotta give Johnny this note. Oh, for fun though, it was good
Oh,
stuff.
it was great. Yeah, it was my wife and I. My wife's brother was in town from Seattle, and
Yeah.
the late great Shazi was with
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And we went to that game.
Do you know who Lindy hollered at that night after the game?
You.
Me! He hollered at me. He didn't holler at Jack. Jack don't even know that. He yelled at me because he goes, where's he at? How come Flora ain't out on the field? Well, Plano made him, Jackie go punt. He drove him nuts. He made him go punt. It was so muddy. It was, in all defense of that backward punt, the field was a sea of mud. But we practiced on that field.
Sure.
That was where we practiced at. You didn't practice too much, or because Cooper Field didn't come into existence until 1969, my senior year. But we practiced on the field, and then you practice in the back sometimes, and that,
Right, behind the stands.
Oh,
still
Right,
stands.
behind the still
that was
stands.
Burma Road.
That's worse, yeah.
And then you talk about lumps and bumps and.
And it's only, 40 or 50 yards long.
That's
That's
all.
about
Yeah.
all it is.
That's
right.
what Brubb used to practice
Right.
at, in the back. And when I was in junior high, and even after, when I came back and Brubb was still the coach, that's where he practiced at. Because that field, he didn't go to Cooper, he practiced behind the
practiced
field.
Even when Bear coached in I think it was 1980, that was my ninth grade year, that's where we practiced.
Yeah, that's where you guys
Behind the
practiced.
still stands on Cunningham Avenue, yeah.
I gotta get Brubb down here. I told you, I talked to him. He comes into Dennis Joseph's Bakery. I almost got him, but I told him, make Eddie bring him. I said, Eddie will bring you down, or I'll bring you down, because Brubb would be the guy. If anybody out there, if you know what we're talking about, Angelo Brubb Fornatero, he coached for years the junior high at Ben Franklin. He was a phys ed teacher down there, and he was the guy after you left Pop Warner. After you left the East Side Rams, that was where you went. And he got you ready for Lindy.
You learned.
Because he was as
Yeah.
tough as nails as Lindy. But if you didn't learn from Angelo, from Brubb, then there was something wrong with you. And he weeded it out too. He knew the guys that were going to follow.
Sure.
And you always had that 18-20 at Franklin and Washington back in that day. You'd always get the 18-20, the ninth graders that would go play for Lindy. You had two quarterbacks and two halfbacks.
Sure.
You had a back from Ben Franklin, and a left halfback from George Washington, a fullback from Frank, and two quarterbacks, a quarterback here, a quarterback there. And we talked about this on our show years ago when it all came together as just one. Yeah, it was a rival for you. You talk about crosstown rivals. That was the crosstown rival.
We won the last two.
You won the last two. But I remember the biggest crowd was when Denny, my brother Denny, Davey Hassan, when they were ninth graders, and they played George Washington, and they had Jesse Moss, and Trap DePlico was the coach. and they played up at the stadium. There was over 8,000 people watching the game.
Wow.
It was unbelievable, and
And
they
then,
won.
and then after Trap, Larry Pugh took over.
Larry
Right,
Pugh had a
yep.
successful year,
Another
successful.
great
I got to
football
get a
mind.
phone number on Larry Pugh too, because I'd love to have him down.
I don't know if he's still in town or not. I haven't seen him
I'm
in
not
10
sure about
years.
that,
Yeah,
but
I
I
haven't seen
ran,
him
no,
either.
I'll
Yeah,
tell
I've
you
seen
what, when I had that brief stint down the YMCA, I seen him. So that was probably back in January, February, and I seen him down there.
Okay,
So I'm thinking he still
Still
lives in
around.
town.
Good.
Yeah.
good.
And Trap's still around too, you know, I
Yes.
see Trap and, I see him in Save a Lot, or I'll see him riding around, so, yeah, those guys, I want to get Brub down, because he can tell it all. You know, he can tell
right.
it from the beginning, he can go right to when he retired and he became the athletic director at Newcastle. Because I was after Brub, you know, he was a great mentor to everybody, you know, he was just a great guy. But anyway, Preston, what do you got on the NFL?
So before that, the Steelers announced their Week 3 Coach of the Week for high school, and it goes to a Lawrence County coach. It goes to Freddie Mazzacco for the 20-point win versus York. It's his second time receiving the award. He got it in 2015.
Ed NESHANNOCK.
However, this is the first 3-0 start for Newcastle since 2009, but the last that I had was 2019. So,
They got a lot of speed.
Oh, they sure do.
They got,
Oh, yeah.
they got a lot of speed.
And in 2 weeks, they're gonna see a lot of speed.
And then they're gonna play Montour and West Day. They got 3 away
Yeah.
games.
Three
Three
days.
straight.
Bandas had a
Knock's not bad. That should be a
Knock's
nice.
not bad.
That'll be a
test.
good one.
And guess what? Ambridge and Blackhawk are much improved.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Blackhawks, really. I don't know too much
Blackhawks.
about and
Blackhawks
much
pretty
improved.
good.
Yeah,
well, it's gonna be interesting.
it's gonna be brutal.
That's why you play the game, right?
Yep.
That's why you play the game. Go ahead.
So for the NFL, we started with the Buffalo-Miami game. Buffalo winning 31-10 over Miami. Tua, another concussion, goes on to the IR for 4 weeks. Gives him time to think if he plays again.
Let's
I-
talk about that.
This is a young man.
Yeah.
26, 7 years old.
I think he's
8
29 years old.
Okay,
29.
29.
Something
This is a
like
young
that.
man.
Yeah.
He's made good money, okay? I'm sure he's got good financial people that are keeping him well invested and what have you. You're 29 years old, you got a young family. Why are you gonna go
Isn't that his
out?
third major concussion?
Third.
Yeah.
Yep,
Third. Why are you gonna go out there and risk that?
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
mean,
I agree,
there-
John.
There's football and then there's life.
That's right.
I mean, that's my feeling
Yeah,
on it.
you're right.
I mean, the kid's a great athlete. I love to watch him play. He's exciting, but wow.
Big decision.
Phew. I really don't think there's a decision to make. I really don't.
No, I don't either, but, I mean, if I was his wife, I'd
No
have to
question.
actually sit him down and just
No
talk to him and
question.
say,
Yeah.
this is your,
It's-
you know,
it's-
this
it's
is your
time.
future, and later on in life, what are you gonna be like in 5 or 10 years? I mean,
Exactly.
and he has to realize, yeah, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe,
They end up with that post-concussion
Oh,
syndrome.
yes. Yep. And look at those guys that had it.
Oh, sure.
Look at McMahon. He can't go from point A
No.
to B without using GPS to get back home,
Right.
because he doesn't.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. His
Doesn't know
girlfriend
where
would
he
set it up. And same with Mike Webster. Look what happened to him.
Oh.
And these other guys it happened to. It's just, it's a shame.
They put their life and
Sure.
their life and their body
Yes.
into this game.
Yep.
It's a rough game, man.
It
You
sure
see on
is.
Sundays, they lay it all on the line.
It is
Yep.
brutal.
It's a
It's
brutal,
not rough, it's
brutal.
brutal.
Go ahead, Preston.
Continue on with Minnesota defeating the 49ers 23-17 in Minnesota. We then go to Seattle winning 23-20 versus the Patriots. The Commanders defeat the Giants 21-18.
And that was all field goals.
All
Yep.
field goals.
Yeah, all field
7
goals.
field
How about
goals,
that?
6 field goals. How about that?
This NFL is crazy. Before you go any further.
It's Pete Rozell's dream. Parody's
Exact
here.
parody. He wanted parody. Now, for example, last week on the pool we do, that with Bobby, my grandson had 3, and the winner was 3. I had 5 winners this week.
5. I don't know if I had that many.
I like to see who the winner was, because it was all upsets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it
You just
was.
gotta like,
Yep.
yeah, it's very, very much he
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
a parity and he got it. Go ahead.
Continue with the Chargers winning 26-3 versus
That's
the
a good team.
Panthers. They're
There's a good
very
team.
good.
Not, go ahead. What do you think?
Who've they beaten?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Now, they
But
gotta-
who does anybody beat?
Well,
Look at, he didn't get to the Cowboys yet.
Minnesota beat San Francisco.
Right. True.
Atlanta beat Philadelphia. Preston will get to that in a minute. But who's the Chargers beating? Nobody.
Those are the Chargers play.
Pittsburgh.
They
Pittsburgh.
play
Raiders. They
Pittsburgh.
beat the Raiders and they beat Carolina. Now, and then the Raiders turn around, go to Baltimore and win.
And beat them.
And beat
Okay.
them.
Harbaugh has brought back the run game to the Chargers.
Oh, they're gonna come along. They're
Okay.
gonna be.
They're going to be good. They're going to be good. But now they're coming into Pittsburgh and have to go against this defense. This will be a huge litmus test for the Chargers this
Yeah.
week. Because Pittsburgh's defense is darn good.
They,
Yes, they
Darn.
are.
AFC
they've,
North.
Yeah.
Yes.
I seen it earlier. They've allowed the fewest yards for wide receivers all season, and it's in 2 games. They lead the league with.
These two outside linebackers are, I mean, they're spectacles. They really are.
Yeah.
Watt and Highsmith. Which one do you double team? You can't double team them both.
Right.
Because Hayward's going to have a field
Pick your
day.
poison.
Which one do you double team?
Just a little more offense.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You then go to Dallas where the Saints win 44-19. And the Saints quarterback, Derek Carr, is in the MVP voting so far.
Oh, yeah.
He's
I mean,
had 16 drives and he scored on every single one of them with a touchdown.
We're in 2 weeks, but, man.
You
good
start
receiving
figuring it
core,
out week 5 and 6, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Good receiving core, nice running back.
Yes.
They're not bad. The
No.
New Orleans Saints are not
No,
bad.
they're not.
No, they're not.
And now, Kubiak's son is the OC there. Now they're running motion. They've never done that before. Now they run play action. They've never done that before. They were a straight drop back team.
Yeah.
Drop back pass or
And Carr's not bad.
a dive and a
Right.
trap type running team. You know, they weren't anything special.
Right.
Now they're putting things into the mix. It's a little different story down there. And Carr's good. He's a good,
Yes.
Yes,
he's
he
a good
is.
field general.
Yeah.
And he's got a very good arm.
Yep.
Yep.
We got a Green Bay with a 16-10 win over the Colts.
No surprise.
Richardson really struggled to get them going against a good
Yeah.
Green Bay defense at home.
Yeah.
That's going to be
Very
hard
much
to
so.
win at.
And a great running game in Green Bay. Now.
Yeah.
Josh
Oh, yeah.
Jacobs found a really good home in Green Bay.
I don't want to be ignorant, but who was a quarterback for?
Malik Willis.
Malik
he
Willis.
started. He started for the Packers.
He
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
in for
Okay.
Love, who's still.
He's still out.
He came in questionable earlier in the week, but I figure they're not going to play him for a little bit. The Browns beat the Jaguars 18-13.
No surprise.
Jaguars are really bad.
They're not that good.
No.
Watch them beat somebody by 30.
Probably.
Go ahead.
The Jets beat the Titans 24-17. The Buccaneers beat the Detroit Lions 20-16. Like Johnny said, the Raiders go into Baltimore and take a 26-23 win. Just what's Baltimore got to do? Just 0-2, and it's not getting any
Yeah.
easier. You got Dallas and Buffalo.
That game knocked out plenty of survival pools.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the Bengals did in week 1, the Ravens did in week 2.
Yeah.
You have the Cardinals with a 41-10 win over the Rams. Marvin Harrison Jr., 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. He was the first receiver since his father to do what he did in that first quarter. So, I mean, just
Well, he had 3 catches for 118 and 2 scores.
2 touchdowns
With
within the
6 minutes left to go in the first
first
quarter.
quarter. Arizona seems to have, they're slowly starting to maybe get something, but it's going to be,
Rams defense is
the Rams, it's,
drastically missing Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Drastically.
that was a hole you had, but
Yeah.
that's going to be a
It's
minute.
funny how one guy can just.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, the Steelers with a 13-6 win in Denver. Texans defeat the Bears 19-13. Chiefs defeat the Bengals 26-25 in a game where people weren't sure if Cincinnati was even going to score to
He dominated.
putting up 25 and almost winning.
They led the game until, 39 seconds left?
Yes.
With
on
the-
a DPI that set up the field goal.
Yep.
That was my question I had. I get why they called it, but would you still have made the call with the ball hitting the defender in the helmet, the DB?
Came through the back of the defender and
That's
the
where
back
I
of the
was-
receiver, and you can't do that.
That's where I seen why you make the call, but
Right.
I
That's
mean,
why it's a foul.
But Chiefs win 26-25, and then the Atlanta Falcons go into Philadelphia and steal one with a 22-21 win.
Kirk Cousins is good.
Yeah.
He's good.
Now, he's coming off that right Achilles rupture.
Right.
And he ruptured it midway through the season last year. It was, I think, the second or third week of December, so, of November. So, a 32, 33-year-old quarterback coming off of that type of injury,
Yeah.
I'm surprised at his performance. You know, that recovery, because,
same with-
man, that's a tough recovery.
Same with what's his name in the Jets.
Rogers.
Oh, Rodgers,
Rodgers.
yeah, and he's 40-year-old.
Right.
Yeah,
And look at
but he got injured.
he
first
got
game of
in
the
right
year.
the first game. Right, so he had all that time to get.
Yeah, he
When
had-
the other guy got injured.
He had another
Cousins-
9 or 10 weeks
Right.
of recovery.
Correct.
You know, so, but yeah, Kirk Cousins, another good field general with
Oh,
a
yeah.
decent arm. You know, you protect him, he's going to produce.
It's just so, we can say this a million times, a parody. Roselle wanted a parody.
Yeah, and he got it.
He got
He's
it.
getting it.
He got it.
He's got it. I just don't think the Bears are,
They got
my personal opinion is, it has to be in the front office of hiring these coaches, and they do the same thing. And I'm not degrading any of you Bears fans, but it seems like it's the same football every year. They had Fields there. Fields didn't do too well there, so he should.
Trubisky.
Huh?
Trubisky
Trubisky.
before him.
It just doesn't seem like it's
And
getting
back,
any better.
back before that, it was Rex Grossman, Kyle Orton,
Jay Cutler.
Jake Cutler, Jake
That's what
Plummer.
I'm saying, yeah.
We're not good quarterbacks.
No.
And I'm not sold at all on Caleb Williams. I'm not sold on this guy. USC is one thing. NFL is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a lot.
What you said about earlier before we
Oh,
went
yeah.
on about what, go ahead, you can tell that.
Well, retired back judge Tony Steratore, who I'm friends with.
Is he related to Gene?
Yeah, his brother,
Brother,
Gene's older
okay,
brother.
okay.
Incidentally, if you remember the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Giants, where the first play of the game was a safety for intentional grounding on Brady, Tony's the one who made that call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the one who made that call. Anyhow, when Tony went from the Big East to the NFL, I asked him after his, I think, first or second year in the league, you know, Tony, tell me the major difference between big-time college and the NFL. He said, well, in big-time college, you got a couple of guys that are really, really fast. He said, in the NFL, you got 22 of them on the field at the same time.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
He hit that nail right on the
Speed
head.
is just incredible, incredible.
The speed.
And they're getting faster and
And
faster.
they're getting faster and faster.
You know what, John, while we're on the subject of, and I'm glad you're here tonight because we got to talk about everything. While we're on the subject of refereeing, we talked about it earlier about that in the high school, you told us that it's probably going to come down to where you only have 5 officials, which in high school you use 6 because of the lack of,
Numbers, yeah.
Numbers.
I mean,
Lawrence County's down with numbers too,
we have been
believe me.
actively recruiting for the last 15 years. And we're, what about who?
Unsportsmanlike against Cousins.
Oh,
I didn't watch that game. so-
yeah, I
You'd
didn't,
have to
I didn't see
explain
the
that
call
one. I
stand,
don't
I'm
know.
sorry.
What about McCaffrey?
Well, McCaffrey with the injury, wow, crazy.
The guy's a backup's
Crazy.
not bad.
No,
Oh,
he's not.
No,
No,
He's
he's
pretty
not.
good.
no, not at all. But anyhow, where was I? I'm getting old.
No, we were.
Lost my
we were-
train of thought.
No, we were saying about.
Oh, the numbers.
Yeah,
I mean, we've been actively recruiting officials for about the last 15 years, and we'll get 4 or 5 new people come in. Some ladies are coming in now, which is great.
Yes.
But then after a year or two, they become disenfranchised and walk away from it. So, everybody has their theories.
Johnny, we talked to you about this before.
Yeah.
When Frank was here. It's not an easy job to.
Oh,
I mean, and we said it. Now, I did basketball, and that wasn't easy back in the day either. I started with Brub down at Ben Franklin
Right.
when you still had a jump ball after every violation or
Right. every tie-up.
every tie-up. You found a spot on the court where you jumped the ball up. Then that's how much the game has changed.
Right.
But it's becoming, and it's just the way the culture has changed it. Do you want to referee? Do you want to put up with the fans? Do you want to put up with the coaches? Do you want to put up with some of the kids? Not all the kids, because there's
Right.
a lot of teams have the respect because of coaches, but you got to put up with their mouths too. Go ahead, John.
When you played high school football for the legend, Coach
Yeah.
Laurel,
Right.
and he got in your face and chewed you out about something,
Right.
did you go home to your dad and cry
No.
about it?
No.
No, you took it like a man.
Well, what these kids do today is they add it on to the media.
Right.
So when
Exactly
the
right.
media gets it,
Sir.
it's done. It's
But-
over.
But the
garbage.
parents over the years have become so much more protective of their kids.
Involved.
Involved, getting involved with coaches, getting involved with school administrators. I mean, it's just a dynamics change. And the players, they figure, oh, well, my parents are gonna protect me, so I'll go home and cry every
Yes.
time something goes wrong. That leads into the parents going after coaches, the parents going after officials. It's just a dynamics change over
Yeah.
the last 30-some years. So, yeah, there's a lot of abuse that officials take from parents. Coaches, the great majority of coaches now are no longer educators.
Right.
Back in the day, coaches were teachers.
Exactly.
Now they're not.
Right.
You're probably 35% are.
Yep.
Back in the day, it was 100.
Yep.
Okay? So the coach to official relationship has changed.
Yeah.
Because coaches back then were teachers and knew they were representing their school in both regards.
Yeah.
Now they're not. So there's a lot of dynamics change. And hey, things change. It's part of life. But it is difficult to take the abuse. But at the same time, you need to know that if you're going into the officiating avocation, that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to conduct yourself in a manner where you're not being combative
Yeah.
with that coach or listening to what that parent says as you're walking off the field. And sometimes it's very tough to do.
And the pay is not the best in the world.
No.
It's okay.
If
It's,
you're getting in for the money,
It's not.
don't get
Don't
in.
do it.
yeah.
Don't get in. Get in for the love of the game.
Coaching's the same way.
Sure it is.
You don't get in it for the money.
The hours that these coaches
Exactly.
put in are ridiculous.
You get
They're
in it for the
ridiculous.
love of the game and the love of the
Love of
teaching
the
kids.
game and the love of the kids and wanting to stay
Right.
involved.
Right.
If you're getting in for any other reason, don't get in,
No.
because you're not gonna be successful.
Right.
So, back when you did it, you were in it for what, 40 years?
40 years,
Okay.
yeah.
What's the average now of you, say Sam becomes a referee this year, how many years are they lasting? 1? Is it 5? Is it-
Some are, yeah.
I mean, it's not as long as what you guys did.
Oh, no,
Like
no.
Frank and
But-
all these other guys that refereed. I mean, you still got the older guys that are doing softball and volleyball,
Sure,
stuff like
sure.
that, because it's a little bit easier.
Right.
But still, they're still doing it, but they're gonna end up,
And I was a little different because, Sam and my brother are the same age, okay? And those guys are 13, 14 years older than I am. So when I grew up, when I was old enough to understand sports, my brother was already a basketball official. So when I would go to games, he'd take me to games with him.
I started the
Take
same
your little
time.
brother to the game.
I started the same
Right.
time he did.
And Joe Paul
He might
Meyer,
have
the
been-
three of
no.
you guys.
Eddie might have had 2 years before I
Maybe,
did.
yeah, but, so I grew up appreciating it different than a lot of other people. And that's what attracted me to it. So, you know, I'm a little different in that regard. Maybe that's why I lasted 40 years. Okay? But now, you know, we had 3 guys last year that I personally helped them through their test, getting their registration, their clearances, all this fun stuff. And they were gone at the beginning of the season. They were gone. They no-showed at the beginning of the season.
Wow. You wanna do it?
You know, I'm not sure, positive. I help Frank Pedro, which is the assigner of Lawrence County chapter.
Right.
He does the JVs, 7th and 8th grade football, 7th and 8th grade girls basketball in the fall, and he does Pop Warner. So we were on the phone yesterday. I mean, we talked on the phone for 30 minutes, only solved 2 games in Pop Warner, and the third one, like I mentioned earlier before we went on, that you got to change times. It's
Right.
So if you see out there, or if anybody watching and your Pop Warner game has changed, it's because we can't get officials to do the games.
Exactly.
Now, I went to Elwood 2 weeks ago to watch my great-nephew, Nico, Dana's, Josh's son, Nico Mador, and they had to play it as a scrimmage because there was only
No
one
officials. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Adam Vastana did it, and I gave him a lot of credit
Good
last
young
night to
official.
Frank, and he conducted himself in a professional manner.
Yeah. Good.
And he
good young
played,
official.
they went 10 downs apiece, and then they went 1st and 10. No kickoffs, no punts.
Right.
And he was calling a penalty. If it was a penalty, he was calling it right.
Sure.
And he did a fantastic job with it. But
Yep.
in that case, in that scenario, we didn't have anybody. And then he had Frank. Frank does a hell of a job with this. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know
I
how
help
he
him
does
with
it.
basketball. Basketball's, I can say, I'm not saying it's easier, but
We have more numbers.
you got more numbers in
Right.
basketball. So you can like juggle guys around. and
Yes.
He just takes care of his thing on this side, and I do. Football's a little different because you don't got enough guys.
Yeah, right,
There's,
right,
there's no,
right.
No,
like
you
we
don't.
said, there's just not enough there's not enough people that want it. And then there's some guys that he has in the chapter that can't work weekends.
Right.
So that puts a clamper on it.
Sure.
And sometimes on a Saturday, I think 2 weeks ago, we had 7 games.
So that's 28 officials.
28, and you don't have, so you gotta make,
We have 30 in the chapter.
so what you're doing is if John Yerage and Randy Rayburn wants to make money that day,
You're
you're
gonna
gonna
do
make
3
money.
or 4 games.
But then it's a heck of a night.
Right.
You're like
You're going all
spreading
day.
yourself really.
Sure.
Frank told me Adam worked the 10 o'clock scrimmage in Elwood, left there at 10 after, and worked all the way through the day until the last game was over at 6:30
Oh, my.
out in Shannock. So he worked till 9 o'clock in the night. He worked all day. He worked like 9-hour day just officiating, but he
Yeah.
made a couple dollars.
Sure.
But
Sure.
it's out there, boy. If you have kids are watching this out there, Johnny will tell you, he'll help you. If you want to
Absolutely.
get it,
Anyone.
whether it's basketball, whether it's football, and Frank Pedro would help you with the softball and baseball because we do need a lot of those guys too.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the spring when it's raining and it's cold and it's snowing and you got
And they're 3:30 games.
3:30 games.
3:30, 4
A lot
o'clock
of people
games.
work till 5.
And you're
5:30.
using the same, and I know it now because when I was the AD, I would say,
Why do I get this guy all the time?
but that's why.
Because he's the only one available.
That's one of
right.
unavailable.
That's right.
Right.
He's doing a 3:30 game, so
Yep.
sometimes maybe you gotta, maybe now you got these turf fields, which really helps you.
Oh, they sure
You know,
do.
you got a turf, you can play at Neshannock, play at Newcastle now, you can
Right.
play at Mohawk, you gotta do what you gotta do, but so many cancellation, but and then I'm gonna get out of the subject here, it's the reason is we can't get enough. And
Exactly
Johnny
right.
would help you, Johnny would
No doubt.
definitely help you, take
Any-
your tests, get you prepped for it, and.
Anyone who
Any,
wants
let me
help.
tell you, any sport, any
Yep.
sport.
Anyone who wants help.
Volleyball's low on,
Sure.
on numbers.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
I don't know about soccer, but I know back up that way.
Yeah, up
it's-
north. It's huge.
It's huge.
We
But
don't
they
even have a soccer chapter.
But they don't have a lot of officials. It's
right.
the same way. It's not only in Lawrence County, it's everywhere.
Oh, it's nationwide.
Nationwide.
It's nationwide.
Yeah. Go ahead, Randy, you want
And
to
there's video clips. Go on YouTube, type in Gene Steratore, type in Bo Borowski, type in some names of some famous
Right.
football, basketball officials. they are making video pitches out there to help recruit
Sure.
younger people to
Yep.
get into this avocation. So, I mean, we do, we need help, we
Yep.
need help.
When you're out on the football field and you're an official, do you hear the people in the stands?
Now,
Do you hear the coaches on the sidelines and
Oh,
the players,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of away from the fans. So to be a football official, you're not like you are on basketball.
Basketball.
Oh,
When
no.
you're
Basketball's
right
the
there.
toughest.
The fans are there, the coaches are there,
They're
the
right in
players
your
are
ear.
right.
When you got
in
that
your-
hand
right
up,
in your ear.
Right.
when that hand's up and you blow that whistle in
You better make the
basketball,
call.
you gotta make the call.
Right.
In football, don't correct me if I'm wrong, you got a little wee time to think about it, right?
Oh, yes,
You do, right?
you have more than a little.
And then you
time,
get together.
and then you talk about it.
Right.
In basketball,
Hey,
you don't,
Randy,
you're on the other line.
Randy, I saw 64 grab the inside of the shoulder pad. Yeah, I saw it too. Okay, we have an illegal horse collar.
That's right, that's right, right. In basketball, you go,
I gotta have it now.
No.
Better have it
Was
right
it a
there.
charge, was it a block? I
I
gotta
al-
have it right now.
I always thought, as an official, and I was told by a great guy, Chuck Cuba, make your mechanics be the best you can be with
right.
it, and you'll always learn the rule. You'll always learn the rules after, but know your mechanics. You that way, charge, bang, give a call.
You mentioned Mr. Cuba's name, my mentor.
Yeah.
My mentor.
Just
in
about
officiating.
everybody's mentor.
Yeah.
Okay, he talked me into it when I graduated high school, and I'm so thankful that I followed his advice and learned what I learned from him over the years.
Right.
Officiating is not being an expert on the rules. Officiating is managing people. That's what it is.
Right.
How do you deal with a rambunctious coach who's all fired up because he just got a 10-yard penalty or 15-yard penalty? How do you deal with him when he's banging in your ear? You know, that's stuff that Chuck taught me how to deal with.
Right.
And to this day,
Yeah,
Chuck, I know you're up there watching. Thank you.
He was just a hit three. Thank
Yeah.
you. He was just a great.
He gave me my first penalty flag in 1984, and I still have it.
Well,
Still
one day
have it.
we'll get you down here,
Yeah.
back down here again. We'll
Yeah.
get you on there. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm glad, Johnny, I'm glad you're here.
Yep.
You know, you just shine
My
right up.
pleasure.
We'd love to have you come here anytime you want to.
Yep.
Is it, oh, who's this? What about unsportsmanlike?
We already
conduct?
talked
We
about that one.
that. Anybody else there, Ron? No, that's about it?
You had questions, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just got off it. I have a couple.
All right, go ahead.
I took this from a
These are on
20
rules.
Yeah, 2022 Football Officials Study Guide.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. A dead ball, you want to reread that first one?
Yeah.
If a
go ahead.
team on offense only has 10 players on the field, they need not have 7 players on the line.
Now, that rule, the line of scrimmage rule, that changed in 2021,
Okay,
okay? In order to have a legal offensive formation, you must have 5 players on the line of scrimmage.
right,
They must be numbered 50 to 79. And they are ineligible receivers because they're ineligible by number.
Right.
50 through 79 cannot catch a forward pass behind, in, or beyond the line of scrimmage. Okay?
Right.
So you must have those 5. And you can have no more than 4 players in the backfield. So,
Right.
legally, you can play with 9 players. Actually, you can play with 6 players, because there has to be somebody to receive the snap, and a minimum of 5. Now, normal formations are 7 on the line, 4 that are backs. So you've got your 5 linemen, your 2 split ends, or a tight end, or 2 tight ends, and then your 4 backs, your quarterback, your running back, fullback if you have one, flanker if you have one. Maybe you have 4 wide receivers, 2 on the line, 2 off the line. So that is the formation.
so the answer to that question was true. It has 2 answers.
Yeah, true and false, but like I said, the rule changed.
The rule
So,
changed, okay.
Yeah,
All right, the goal line pylons, when properly placed, are out of bounds at the intersection of the sideline and the goal line extended.
that is true.
True.
Yes.
That's true. I got a couple more here. A ball is live only during the down.
That is true,
True.
yes.
A player may remain in a game with illegal equipment after enforcement of a 50-yard penalty for the infraction.
No. Any player that is wearing improper equipment will be removed for at least one down. Once he gets the equipment issue taken care of and becomes legally equipped, he can then re-enter the game.
You know what they should have?
Can
They
they
should
go
have
ahead
a guy like you sitting on the microphone when there's a penalty, and he tell the fans, this is the rule. Oh, my God. You know, all the years we were on the sideline, then now you're sitting in the stand, I'm going, oh, my God. I don't
lot of
know
rules.
all the rules, John, but I know the basic rules.
A lot of rule experts in the
Oh, my
stands out
God.
there.
Oh, my God. I had a headache 2 weeks ago. I wanted to say, well, you people you don't even know what you're talking about. Just watch the game.
One night about 10 years ago, I had to go over and explain a call to Bobby Pelko at West Alligator. You know Bobby.
Yeah, yeah.
So I go over and I'm explaining to the coach what his options are. And all these people are yelling. And he said, hey, listen to these F and G just up there.
Oh, here's a good one. If a team B player tackles an opponent who is not a runner, officials will make allowance if such player was pretending to be a runner.
Yes. Yeah, simulated runner can be tackled. Yes.
Oh, okay. Right.
So, the fake.
The fake.
You
can
and here
tackle
he
him.
comes
That's
through
not a
like he's
penalty.
got the ball and the linebacker hits him.
Well, I want to have this
No
with
penalty
me at these games. This was a rule. Knee braces can be worn over the pants.
They can. The restriction with knee braces, or any braces, elbow brace, whatever, wrist brace, no metal
Right.
and no sharp edges.
So that hasn't changed in years.
So
That's
if
the-
it's the composite, it's the
Right.
the carbon composite, the rubber, coated in rubber, yeah, that's fine. As long as there's no sharp edges or no exposed metal.
This is nice
How
here.
about if you wrap, you can wrap it. though.
You can wrap it, yep.
We did that with knee
Yeah,
braces.
we did that, knee braces. Well,
Michael.
you did it with cast, you did it with.
Yeah, but Mike
helmet.
Wells with his cast.
Yeah.
Cast must be wrapped
Yes, I know
with
that.
a minimum of 1.5 inch
Of,
slow recovery foam.
right,
Yeah,
right,
they have to be wrapped.
yes.
There's 100.
Not to interrupt, players now you talk about the pants covering the knee braces or what.
Yeah.
You got guys, and you can see it in college, they're basically wearing shorts.
College, it's
There's-
legal.
there's
High school,
no-
it's not.
There's no
Yeah.
why would you
Right.
want protection for your knees? I mean, that's what they're going after.
Mm-hmm.
They don't wear, they're wearing shorts basically.
Because of the restriction in running. They want to run the 4-1, okay? They want to run the 4-2.
Yeah.
Right,
When those tight knee pads are on and they're tight around the back of their knees, that 4-2 becomes a 4-4. That could be the difference.
okay, all right.
That's
No,
why
I
they
just
want
asked
it.
it, because it just, I know high school you have to.
High school, it's a rule. You
It's
must
a
have
rule.
knee pads and the pants must cover.
Must cover the knee, right.
And in college, it's a free-for-all.
Pros too, right?
Pros too, it's a free-for-all.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the neutral zone. I'm gonna, 14, 15, and 16, and we'll call it a day. The lines of scrimmage and the neutral zone are established when the ball is ready for play.
Correct.
The neutral zone is established after the snapper has made final adjustments of the ball,
Correct.
and the expanded neutral zone may extend partially into the end zone.
No.
No.
Expanded neutral zone comes into play on a passing down. So your neutral zone is, let me move this plate. This is the width of the neutral zone, right here. What is it, 10 inches?
Right.
Something to that effect. This end to this end is your neutral zone. Your offense, your defense are on opposite sides. Now, on a passing play, when the quarterback is in a passing action or dropping back, that neutral zone expands by 2 yards. Okay, same thing on a punt, scrimmage kick, field goal attempt, extra point attempt. That neutral zone expands by 2 yards. So the reason for that is to determine, is an ineligible receiver downfield? If he's within that 2-yard expanded neutral zone, he's fine. Once he hits 3 yards, now he is an ineligible receiver downfield, which is a penalty.
Right.
Okay? But the neutral zone can never extend into the end zone.
I got one for you. If a loose ball touches a game official who is straddling the sideline, the ball is not out of bounds,
The ball is out of bounds. Yes.
because he's part of the field.
The official is considered out of bounds when he is touching the sideline or beyond it. And if a ball even touches the foot that is inside the field of play, the ball status is out of bounds. Yes,
So his other leg's out of bounds.
right. Same thing if it touches a player. If a player happens to lean in to watch his guy run or whatever, and his foot's in bounds, and somebody touches it with the ball's dead.
Encroachment cannot occur after the ready for play if Team A linemen are still in the huddle, even though the snapper has his hands on the ball.
No, encroachment can only occur after they're ready for play. So once the ball is declared, now there's 2 ways a ball can be declared ready for play. When the official chops it in with a whistle to start the 25 clock, or after a play is ended and the official kills the play and the 40-second clock is running, once the umpire spots the ball, now the ball is considered ready for play. Then encroachment can happen. If any defensive player encroaches the neutral zone, or even if an offensive player encroaches the neutral zone, that is a foul for encroachment. Always a dead ball foul. They can't jump and get back
Right.
like you see in college or in the NFL.
I'm going to give you one more. After the ball is ready for play, each offensive player must momentarily be within 15 yards of the ball before the snap.
That rule again, that's one that changed, and it's probably about 10 years ago. After the ball is ready for play and before the snap, every offensive player must be a minimum of 9 yards onto the field. And the easy way to gauge what is 9 yards, the top of the numbers. If you're sitting in the stands watching a game and you see the 20-yard line, the top of that 2, the top of that 0 is 9 yards from the sideline. So players have to be inside to the
Right.
field
Those
Right.
numbers.
of those numbers, those 9-yard marks. And if you remember the '87 Whitfield game where Aliquippa beat Newcastle, the hidden receiver, that's the reason that rule came into play.
Now that makes sense
Yep.
by me reading. That caught my eye when I was flipping through that.
Because what the Aliquippa team did is they hid the receiver behind the official on the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And that also instituted a mechanics change for us. Now our sideline officials are 2 yards off of the sideline, out of bounds. They're not on the field anymore.
I see, I got to notice that. I didn't notice that. Wow.
That's the reason behind that rule change.
Okay.
Well, listen, it was always a pleasure to have you here,
Come back, please.
and we're going to get you back here again.
I enjoy it.
Well, come
Thank
back
you.
anytime, basically. You can come back anytime.
We didn't talk too much about Major League Baseball, but right now, we talked about the Pirates. The Pirates are just the Pirates.
Mercifully, they're done in 12 games.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Yankees now are a 4-game, and that was Ziggy, and that was Cookie here
Yeah.
talking about, and Bobby last week a little bit. But next week, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
So next week at this time, it's going to end. It's going to be ending, and we'll go right through with the
Yeah, 'cause
standings.
next weekend's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Fall weekend.
The Yankees play the Pirates the last
That-
3 games.
Last 3 games.
That's going to mean a lot to them, but the Yanks are playing well now. They're 4 games in. It's getting interesting now.
Judge is having a huge year.
Yes, he is.
Him and
Huge.
Soto.
4 RBIs last night. 4 RBIs. He's
They're
in
on a
the ball.
roll.
Batting 3-something.
You want to talk Yankees, bring Donnie Nogate down there.
Yeah. He can be on a Lisco show.
He'll talk Yankees until 3 in the morning.
Ronnie made a good point the other day. He had, Mark had his show last night. He had Matt DeSalvo, right?
Good.
Ronnie thought it would be a great idea, and if you're listening out there, Mayor Lisco, the producer's giving you a good idea. You should go one-on-one with him on your show, so you can talk to him one-on-one, and you get tons more of information.
Oh, but
You know, tons. Jack, if you're out there, just let me know when you can make it. And the guys that are not here tonight will be, God willing, we'll all be back here next week. We got tons going on this weekend, a lot of college football, a lot of professional football. We got baseball, it's, like I said earlier, high school football, it's week 5 already.
It's getting into it now.
Week
It's getting
5.
into it now. Yeah.
It's going fast, so
Sure is.
Yeah, the
that's
game-
why you gotta
game's
seize
counting
the
on.
moment on everything, and you have
Newcastle has one more
One more.
one more.
non-league game.
Non-conference
This is
game.
it, and then
Man,
The
that-
last 5 are all conference
And
games.
that 3-game stretch, oh, is that gonna be
It's,
brutal?
it's gonna be brutal. Well, you gotta play your,
Hey, you gotta go.
you gotta
go.
play your A game. And,
Absolutely.
it's A game. That's
You
why
gotta
you
bring-
play the practice.
you gotta bring it every night.
Exhibition games. You
You gotta bring it every night. Yep.
Anybody else got anything else to talk about? Well, listen, thanks, everybody, for watching this show.
Thank you.
It was just something that we started, and I'm gonna repeat it again, something we started 3 years ago, and it's all about a bunch of guys that known each other for years. I know Johnny since he was a little kid, back in,
Since I was
way
born.
back. Coached him in Pop Warner football, known his family all my life, and it was just great to have you come, John. It's
Thank
good to
you.
talk. This is an
enjoy it.
easy thing to do. I like to get some people in here. I'm not going after you. We did that for 2 years, and it was definitely hard. If you want to come down here, we're down here every Wednesday. The doors are open at 5:15. Ronnie's here. Come in, and we'll talk. That's all we do is just talk.
And you know what, one more thing, Ronnie Mounts, our producer here, what a bang-up job this
Yeah,
guy
he does a good job with it.
Really good stuff. Really
Nice
good
studio.
stuff. Thanks,
And,
Ronnie.
Yep, thanks, Ronnie.
we want to, if you got any Mohawk fans or any other fans in the county that want to bring a hat down, we'll throw it up on the wall too. So that's why we changed the format a little bit about sports in general.
Right.
We talked a little about a glorious tradition. Jack's going to come on. He's definitely going to, he'll have our
Lot of-
main
lot
2
of baseball
questions.
stuff, too.
Be baseball, but his first main 2, your fondest memories of Coach Laurel and your fondest memory of Camp Reds. It was great to hear guys' stories about
Oh,
it.
sure.
We had guys come back and talk about their life history. And again, for the 100th time, the guy that had the best bio as for right now is Larry Izzo. Great biography of how he made it, how he did it, and how he worked so hard. That's why we always end the show with keep working. Larry kept working, and his work ethics extend back to when he played football for Coach Laurel. And he said it was such a pleasure and to have him and talk about how he made his life successful and retired on that job and didn't know one iota about
golf.
golf.
And,
He did.
and
Great story.
not only that.
And we had Mark
I mean,
Mangino telling us, and
Oh,
Johnny
yeah.
Latina. So interesting, and everybody else who was in here. If you ever want to come back and tell your bio,
Sure.
this is the place to come, right here.
And
But anyway,
Not only that about Larry, I mean, just what a great person.
great person.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been so blessed to have so many great friends that we've had come out of this
Yeah,
town,
it was
this
really-
little town.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
Little time. But anyway, we're going to leave it at this. Preston, you want to know what Bobby Pia says every week before we leave you?
keep working.
Good night. Thank
Good
you.
night.
We all know there's an advantage to playing at home, to being the home team. At LGKG, we've been your home team personal injury attorneys for auto accident and workers' compensation cases for over 90 years. We know what works and how to win. We have all the credentials. At LGKG, we don't take every case. We handpick our clients so that we can give you the attention you deserve.